I'm going to play clip 5, 1735 to 1820, so you can find out what she did. But please check it off before you watch it.
Keeper did tell Lucinda to leave, and though she wept bitterly, her stone-faced jury didn't relent. Mother always told us to live and let live. Still, you won't find me getting into the same predicament. The farm girls who come to
So she minds her own business.
Lowell, they want something better than what their worn-out mothers had. Well, girls do go back home, marry, and raise their children. But others try to get genteel work like teaching, and many want to marry a mechanic or some such and raise their families in the city or out west. We all try to save a little something for when we move on. Nobody plans to stay here forever. So, Evelyn, 2 weeks ago, when the owners had their agents announce a wage cut, things started buzzing like locusts. Some of the girls began making speeches and passing around petitions.
All right, so in 1834, the owners of the factory announced a wage cut, but didn't lower the rent, the room and board. So what that meant is it would mean less take-home money for the workers.
I admit, I was skeptical.
What you do when they cut our wages, Lucy?
I don't know. I guess I can get by on less for a while. And maybe I'll go home.
Well, I can't go home. Nothing to go home to. How'll we get on? And the price says we'll be just like slaves. Factory slaves. Just like those that pick cotton.
So one of the gripes of the workers was that if you lower our wages, you will begin turning us into a dangerous underclass of workers, but you will also make us dependent on the factory for our subsistence. And you will make us stuck in the factory. We won't be able to find a man to marry. We won't be able to save for education. This will no longer be a temporary stop in our life.
Except we work.
So they looked at it as we are now being equated to slaves down south. Now, please be aware, they were not foolish enough to basically to argue that we are the same as slaves. They were calling themselves wage slaves. All right, somewhat the equivalent. Similarities there are what they were saying.
In the mills, turning it into cloth.
Well, who's Hannah Price?
She works over at the Suffolk mill. There was a meeting last night.
What are you girls gossiping about all afternoon? I won't have no talk of turnouts on my floor, you hear?
No concern of yours. We're keeping up the work.
Same for you, Lucy.
I pretended to adjust the threads.
Watch out, Harriet, dearie, or you can leave right now and not come back. Don't need all of you anyway. People aren't buying so much cloth these days. The Boston partners, Appleton and the rest, they can't sell what they got already. You better quiet down and be sensible like little Lucy here.
So what was happening is people were needing less cloth, and competition was springing up throughout New England. So they had shared some of they lost some of their customers. So profits had gone down. So the owners decided to lower the wages of the workers to offset that loss.
Bully.
I avoided Harriet the rest of the afternoon, though she tried hard to get my attention. She caught up with me after work.
Slow down, Lucy. I want to talk to you about the plan. Don't let Smith scare you. We're outside now.
I'm afraid of what you're asking, Harriet.
Listen a minute. The girls are saying we should all take our money out of the Lowell Institution for Savings and go home till the owners give back our wages. We won't have anything to do with the Corporation Bank or Boarding House, Hannah Price says, and we'll make sure no girl's without funds to carry her home.
No good'll come of this, Harriet. My pa needs the money I sent him.
Look, I know how you feel, but if they lower the piece rates, we'll have to work twice as fast, if we can, to make the same wage.
So basically the owners lowered the piece rate, which meant they got paid less per item they made. So in other words, it was a way to get the workers to speed up, making it seem voluntary on their part. In other words, they would have to make more of it to make the same amount of money.
And if we can't work at the faster rate, there won't be no coins beyond room and board. Not even for coach fare. You won't be able to send your pa anything. If they can get some girls to work for lower pay, then we'll all be forced to. We'll be dependent on mill work and might never get the means together to leave.
So Lucy is faced with a tough choice here. She can accept the lower pay and have less, possibly nothing to send home, or she can take the risk, turn out, and go on strike, hoping that they can regain their original paycheck, their original salary. All right. So that's the dilemma that you guys will be focusing on in your game show, in your talk show.
I just don't know, Harriet. I have to think about it.
The overseers, they need not think, because they higher stand, that they are better than the girls that work at their command.
Remember, it was the workers refused to accept the fact that, or they basically argued that they were equal to their employers. You are not better than us because you are our employer. You are not giving us anything. We are earning this money. All right, so they saw themselves as an equal partner in the manufacturing of raw cotton into textiles. And remember, one of the arguments of those who wanted to turn out and go on strike was, if they lower pay now, then they will do something else in the future.
Evelyn, I did think about it, long and hard. Then yesterday, the Suffolk Company fired Hannah Price for stirring up trouble.
So what happened was, one of the ringleaders trying to get other workers to turn out, they fired her before she could have more of an effect. Or they tried to fire her. I mean, they did fire her, but they tried to do it before she had any influence on the other workers. It actually wound up backfiring, and it's what ignited the entire turnout.
And a whole room walked out. Word got around to the other mills fast.
Did they really just throw her out? Sure did. Said they'd make sure she'll never get another job.
Serves her right, stirring up trouble like that. Oh, hush.
Hey, I want to see too.
Here's the petition the Suffolk girls sent round. We, the undersigned, considering ourselves wronged by the unjust and unreasonable obligement of our wages, do hereby mutually and cheerfully engage not to enter the factory.
What's going on here? Get back to your work or I'll send you all packing.
Don't bother. We're walking out right now.
Oh, yeah? And who's we?
All of us.
That's right.
She's right. You coming, Lucy?
Wow, talk about a cliffhanger. All right.